You know what? This isn't a show for me to open. Cody?
Why is the SEC being a bunch of baby bag?
This is the Dose Grande squad.
You're talking ball with the Big 12 squad. From Oklahoma State to Utah, from Kansas State to BYU, from Houston to Texas Tech, it's the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network bringing you scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive preview of the upcoming Big 12 weekend. Buckle up. It's the Big 12 squad, and we have a seat for you. No hurt feelings and thin skin allowed. Squad up. You're part of the Big 12 squad.
Oh, happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to the Dose Grande squad. Drake Toll with you from America's #1 Big 12 podcast, Locked On Big 12. There's Mountaineer Paul of Locked On West Virginia, Cody Stovall of Locked On Oklahoma State, and Parker Ainsworth of Locked On Cougs, talking all things Houston Cougars. And happy Thursday. Tonight, 7 Eastern time, yours truly, alongside Cameron Stewart on ESPN this evening. So here in just a couple hours. Very odd how we got to this point in our society. Cam and I used to work a tour guide job together. Now we'll be on ESPN tonight with the sport of banana ball. We got plenty of Big 12 to talk right now, live and in front of your faces.
Can we ask the folks to comment down below? So the show that Drake and Cam used to run together had one of their names in it. Can you guess which one it was?
It may have been the Drake Toll show. Many are pointing to this as a clerical undersight or oversight. I'm still investigating to this day.
There you go.
I hear that I'm going to get a temporary injunction, though, to get the law off my back on this one. That's the goal of the whole injunction thing. We're going to talk a ton of SEC and their media days and how it was just a train wreck this week of crashing the Big 12, of trashing the NCAA, of trying to move out. And I guess that's where we should start. If you hit subscribe, we'd keep our jobs. The SEC threatening to leave the NCAA. And Sankey's pressed on it. The way the reporter asked the question of, like, you know, is this theory or this possibility? And Sankey's like, possibility? It's real. As if it could be fake. It's real. We might do it. The SEC is once again speaking loudly and waving a pretty small stick.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure their stranglehold on the superiority of college football has been dead since the Big Ten's won the last few national championships. And I think that might be part of it, right? This statement had some validity a few years ago, and Greg Sankey first started talking about it. And I think, college football fans in general were like, okay, this could be an advantageous route moving forward. But I think you also got to give credit where credit's due. The NCAA has seemingly made a couple of moves showing that they're trying to kind of make life a little bit easier. And the SEC complaining is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. They get all of the benefits of everything. The only thing they're not benefiting in is winning the national championship, which is probably why they're doing this posturing ridiculousness.
Yeah, I've been in like 3 or 4 fights in my life, and y'all have probably all been in a lot more than that. But in every one of those fights, they didn't start with like the hold me. I've been in way more hold me back, those kind of situations. This feels like they're going to do the hold me back thing where it's like, no, we're definitely going to do this.
One's scared and the other one's glad he's scared.
Yeah, and I don't think like this mutually assured destruction avenue, because the SEC wouldn't survive without the rest of the NCAA, and the NCAA would obviously need some high-dollar programs.
But the SEC would push back and say that they could survive in their own little biome. So I guess it's a statement I think any one of us would agree with. The SEC can't survive on its own. But what is your version of why? Because that's where they would push back immediately.
Because it's just not. I mean, it's 16 high-dollar institutions, but it's just 16 institutions. Like that plays itself out pretty quickly. And I think that the thing is, like, there's a reason pro sports leagues are more than that many teams. Like bluntly, they have to incorporate some of the rest of us at least into like growing that thing to being more of a 30 or 35 team thing. I
have a question too, really quick. At what number does that become too many before it becomes illegal or whatever? Because
apparently 19 based on the
19
pro.
Right, we've seen that.
Well, that's the number that the Big Ten threw out there, whatever. Right, but. I think that's the thing to me is like, it's not, well, it's got blue bloody programs or whatever. Like Vanderbilt's going to have to find I guess Vanderbilt's like had a good 2 years, but they're going to find a way to win some games, and Mississippi State's going to find a way to win some games. And there's going to be all of a sudden and then those institutions are going to drop. There's not enough big enough thing unless you have like bring in another league or two. Now, if this is really a precursor to like the Power Four splitting off, and then you have 64 or whatever, and you could have a little bit different conversation that suddenly is enough like pieces of a puzzle, but 16 teams isn't big enough to split off of anything.
Well, I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, hasn't every ounce of realignment been about TV viewership? and getting new markets that you can open up. That might change, I guess, right? But I don't see that, completely falling by the wayside. Viewership is still important. The SEC only has a certain number of teams, like Parker just mentioned. So outside of those top teams, that's going to be great. But I don't think you're going to have enough profitability to be talking about the margins that you are making right now, because you do need the rest of college football. You need the haters from other conferences hate watching your teams, because if it's just rainbows and lollipops in SEC country and they're all just sitting there rubbing each other's backs, they're going to lose out on the rest of the country. So, I mean, if they want to do it, I don't necessarily think it would be bad for everybody else, but I think it would be horrendous.
Not apples and apples, obviously, but like the SEC basketball tournament does not do that much different, if better than anyone else in terms of the actual basketball tournament. I'm not sure how much different they can anticipate an SEC only playoff doing relative to another non-SEC playoff happening. At the end of the day, it's just 16 schools, and we all know that a handful of them are good. Sure, there's plenty of them at the bottom that are just not. That's the reality of it.
I think one thing that would be beneficial is if this were to be legitimate, I do think maybe we would start seeing more accurate reporting on like rankings and things of that nature, instead of this incessant need every year to put as many SEC teams in the preseason top 25 as physically possible. So that way they can, kind of build up their wins and dummy down their losses. If you remove them from the equation, I think that the voting and everything would be a lot more realistic. So I wouldn't be mad about it.
What do you guys think about Eric Schmidt recently saying that they do have enough votes and they had the 60 votes needed? Obviously, the negotiations with the SEC and Big Ten are going to continue regardless. But, I mean, if it clears the Senate, obviously you have the House. That's going to be a significant hurdle. I'm just curious where you guys stand on that part of it, because
are you talking about you're talking about protecting college sports? I think today Sankey said, right, that like the SEC could do its own thing without the NCAA, and so the Protecting College Sports Act is a little different. I assume that's what you're talking about the Senate and the House, right?
To me, where Paul's going, it kind of all intertwines at this point. Like, it sounds like the SEC is more perturbed at this Protect College Sports Act than they are anything else, to the point where they would say, hey, you're basing this entire act off the NCAA and giving it infrastructure. What if we're just not a part of those four letters anymore? Now you can't govern us with this act because we don't like it. I think Paul's kind of on the money here of that. Right. The SEC is so perturbed by this that they want to push back and do their own thing. And I think, Paul, to that point, it's like we kept begging for someone to help. Someone please fix this. It needs somebody to see. And then the government said, okay, we'll do it. And we're like, no, wrong. We hate you. Like, at what point at what point do we let someone help? And is it the government who ultimately gets us where we want to go?
It might be. I mean, somebody's got to step in and do something. And I don't think the government typically stepping in is viewed as a good thing, but this could be one of those instances. And again, I do think that we've seen some moments where the NCAA is trying to kind of recapture some of college football fan bases. This 5-for-5 thing, I think, is a phenomenal move. I think there's other instances as well. But again, how did that come? That partially came from the conversations with the government. So as much as we don't like it,
my understanding is the biggest thing the SEC has a problem with is that they would not be allowed to expand or encapsulate other schools because they'd be locked at whatever. Right. I think the Big Ten had some similar grievance, and like that they were being targeted because they were already big. I don't think an SEC school would argue against 5-for-5. I mean, that seems very cut and dry and simple amongst one another. I think that the deal there is that they want the opportunity to potentially grow down the line if they need to. They don't want to save college football. They want to control college football, right? That's at the end of the day what it comes down to.
Well, when you say they like the 5-for-5, I don't necessarily think that they would necessarily like it, because part of it is that one-time transfer rule, and it prevents them from going and grabbing all the best Drew Messimakers of the world in year 3, year 4, whenever they feel privy to doing so.
Yeah. I mean, Cam Ward, right? This could have limited what Cam Ward did and his flexibility to transfer across college football when he did so from what Incarnate Word to ultimately. Yeah, but I agree that I'm not actually a fan of the one-time transfer either, but I would point out that neither of those guys went to an SEC school, right? Like even at the end of their transferring, right? Neither one of them went to an SEC school. And for what it's worth, I think there's some argument to be made about like Saban built his whole empire at Alabama on stashing away 5-star guys. That may come back if you're no longer
allowed to transfer as often because you don't want to miss out on the Alabama payday, right?
Well, there's still roster limits, right? For now.
Well, as far as who's on the, like how many guys you've got, but I just mean like you could bench freshman 5-stars that presently want to go play somewhere and then transfer around afterwards. That's a different deal.
Let's get to, I think the SEC is even further off as it pertains to complaining about strength of schedule and FPI. Like, how of all of the conferences or people that complain about FPI and strength of schedule was it the SEC? Crazy, dog. Here is more on how the Southeastern Conference had egg all over its face through its media days in the Dos Grande squad. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Look, money where my mouth is. There are more live events ever. More live events than ever we're seeing right now. Games, concert, comedy shows, festivals. And I did it. I used Game Time to see Argentina take on England last Wednesday, and it was incredible at Atlanta Stadium or whatever they're calling it now. It's getting the tickets that used to be hard, and now it's easy. Confusing checkout process, gone. Surprise fees, gone. Buying tickets, easy, here to stay. That's with Game Time. That's why so many fans are turning to Game Time. This app is built to create buying tickets in a simple way. Seat views before you buy. Upfront pricing, exclusive saving opportunities that help you get to the events that you want without the usual hassle. Biggest pet peeve. You think you found a great deal, then bang! All the hidden fees at the end. Game Time, toggle that off, and you're home free. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets to every type of event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. It's our friends at Game Time. Download the app today. It's Parker Ainsworth, Mountaineer Paul, and Cody Stovall right here on the Dos Grande squad. Drake Toll alongside them. So Greg Sankey saying that he had frustrating, unproductive conversations with the College Football Playoff Committee during their spring meetings and sourced it as he didn't think they were paying enough attention to the SEC strength of schedule or FPI. Boss Hog, the whole damn thing is your conference. What do you mean they're not paying attention to it?
Cody and Paul both have better stuff on this later, but I want to break down. FPI is a completely made up thing by ESPN, right? And I want to point out that ESPN has exclusive TV deal. They're the only SEC TV provider, and it completely behooves them to find an analytic put together that will boost their TV product. They both get to hype it up all week long on SportsCenter and then play the games themselves on Friday and tell you about how great the ratings were on Monday. And they will use their strength of schedule metrics however they want to twist them. And like that, and like that Sankey is in here saying, hey, this metric that my friend said says my girlfriend is the hottest. Like that's all they're doing there, right? And like it just doesn't make any sense to me that that's what we're going to go off of when they're canceling. Alabama and LSU have both canceled future games against Big 12 opponents. And like they're playing each other and arguing like, well, clearly we beat everyone else when they don't in bowl season last year when they were supposed to. It just blows my mind.
Yeah, it's insane. It really is. You know, as you said, it already favors them before the season starts. You know, at some point in the season, almost every season up until the last couple of years, you almost see all 16 teams inside the FPI or you know, inside of the strength of schedule rankings. So I don't understand how this is an argument. It really makes no sense to me. I just think at the end of the day, like they just want something to cry about, man. Like whether it's the 9-game conference schedule, like they just can't get right. They don't have anything that they can be happy about because of the way the last 2 years have gone. And I think that everything is based out of that. It just is.
Yeah, everything's definitely weighted in their favor already, right? I alluded to it a little bit in the first segment. The preseason top 25, we complain all the time about it doesn't really mean anything, but that's not true. It does, right? Because if you're an SEC team that starts the preseason as a top 5 ball club, all you got to do is win the majority of your games, and you're probably never going to get close to falling out of the top 25. Why? Because the rest of the top 25 is all SEC teams too. So if you do lose to another SEC team, it just helps you out and props you up. So all season, it's about the SEC feasting on each other. That also props each other up and helps each other because they get help from all of the networks. This is an asinine statement for Sankey to come out here and be the victim that the SEC is getting looked down upon. The SEC is getting shoved in the closet when the SEC SEC has been like Texas for the Big 12. They've been the problem. They've been the instigator. They've been the rock around everyone's shoulders. So the fact that the Big Ten's been able to, climb above the SEC, I think is remarkable. And you're not seeing a ton of posturing by the Big Ten in this regard. And that's a breath of fresh air. I think we can respect the Big Ten while also looking at the SEC as the whiniest, criest conference in the country.
You can even trace this stuff back to star ratings
too.
Star ratings start it all, right? Star ratings are where these initial rankings come from, right?
Right. Ryder Lyons is the number one quarterback in the country, and now he's a 4-star.
Well, and if somebody decommits from a Big 12 school to an SEC school, they get a free star.
When
and vice versa. If a Texas recruit leaves Texas for Oklahoma State,
Keyshawn Henderson
star.
When Keyshawn Henderson is being predicted to flip, he was absolutely the number one quarterback in the country. And then all of a sudden, that cat going to Georgia or whatever is the number one quarterback in the country very quickly.
Kevin Brown this year.
I think that the interesting to me about all this too is it's actually an argument that we've all made, or at least an argument we've all made. I'm sure you guys have said it smarter than I, but about having a 24-team playoff, because you can actually realistically play yourself into that 24th spot. You can't play yourself from out of the rankings into a 10th because the G6 accommodations into the 10th spot. You just can't go from ranked 35th to 10th, even if you go undefeated realistically, right? And I guess, that'd be involved winning your conference championship, and that comes a different kind of calculus. But you could go in a good 11-1 season from ranked 50th
and a 9-3 SEC team,
or my own Houston Cougars, right? Finish the season 21st. It's not, and then suddenly it's okay. Now we have to play it out on the field, and that's I think my biggest argument for the 24 thing, and it kind of would help negate the importance of this preseason rating because you're not going to play your way out of it.
The SEC hates that because they'll be exposed. Somebody made a great point. I wish I could attribute the podcast. They said, why would the SEC hate 24 teams if that means more representation for them and they can just prove they're the best league in college? If you're the best league in college football, 24 teams means that you get 10 in and can win the national championship every year because you told me you're the best. But they hate this 24 teams because they know they'll be exposed.
Last year's college football playoff, the SEC did not beat a different conference from the Power Four in the college football playoff.
And the only team from the SEC to win a college ball playoff game in this format is the Big 12's own Texas Longhorns against Clemson and Arizona State.
Right.
And the correct call means they don't beat Arizona State actually too.
Correct. Right? Right.
Well, hey, I don't mean to completely derail, but speaking of the 24 team thing, I'm sure maybe the SEC won't be a big fan of it because they don't care about conference titles. But does that mean this could be the last year of conference championships for everybody?
Mm-hmm. It hurt us. Yeah. Big 12 title hurt BYU. They dropped the spot.
Absolutely.
They dropped the spot.
Texas Tech could make that argument this year as well, probably.
Yeah. We don't need it. It hurt us. Now, the advent of the game for the Big 12, because the TCU and Baylor thing that happened in 2014 makes sense. That we could have used it that year for sure. But right now, in the current format, it only gives us one more loss. It gives us another loss.
The one time it was viable.
Right.
we needed it.
Well, and again, Houston wasn't in the conference then, so I wasn't paying as much attention. But it looked like to me there were 2 or 3 different Big 12 schools that had the exact.
Wise thoughts from the young teacher. Wise thoughts from the Ainsworth.
Teaching him treason.
Put my internet magic on him.
That's a great time for us to hit a break here. When we come back, more on the SEC and Greg Sankey. I think he's using a strategy that we've seen before, and it's one that shouldn't catch you off guard. It's the Dose Grande squad.
Gaslighting.
Correct. It is the Dose Grande squad. Mountaineer Paul, Cody Stovall with you. Drake Toll here. Guys, I think and this is me taking it political, but not on the left side or the right side. It's every side. We hear politicians on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, wherever you, Twitter, who get to the podium and say, I was right. I called it. I told you. I said so. I knew it was going to happen. What you hear consistently, Paul, you said it there on the break, gaslighting. You hear, but I knew. It's like, hey, so-and-so governor, the economy's down. Well, the last guy did it. Hey, so-and-so senator, we're struggling with poverty. Well, it's because the last guy put us in a terrible spot. What Sankey's doing is he knows he's at the top of the world. I mean, a lot of these politicians have already won their elections, and they're just saying these things to stay in good graces and create this rhetoric around like, oh, well, they're right. They're the underdog. The SEC wants you to believe you, stupid idiot at home, that we, the SEC, we did nothing wrong. Everybody else is out to get us. And I say somehow it's working pretty clearly.
Yeah, it's insane to me. And not to mention, you're inferior all at the same time. It's like we're supposed to believe we're inferior. They're supposed to be the underdogs at the same time. I don't know what to believe with him. It's almost like just adopt what argument fits at the time that they're having an issue. I think that's what Sankey's always doing.
Drake, if you could unpack that, what do you mean he's right?
I don't think Sankey's right. I think Sankey's portraying himself that he's always right.
Right.
That he wants you to believe that Greg Sankey, no matter what the rhetoric is, somehow he's both the underdog and the most powerful in the room. So no matter what, if the question is, hey, you're the underdog. Yeah, we are. We feel that way. Or, hey, you're the power of college football. Yeah, we are. We should call the shots. Which one is it? It can't be both. But if every answer is different, at some point, the one thing that happens is this herd mentality. Your crowd starts to follow you blindly. Like, well, yeah, I'm rooting for the underdog because we're the underdog. That. And he's got it, man. He's got a great power over the SEC.
Is there anybody in the country, including SEC fans, that have ever once sat back and said, you know what? We are the ones that are getting abused here. We are the ones that are the underdog. I don't think
he's doing it right now.
One fan base. I don't think that there's any Alabama and Georgia fans that are out there like, yeah, you know what? He's right. We are the underdogs. We are the victim. Everybody else is the bully. I don't see it. So I don't know why he would say it. It would fall on deaf ears.
You make a great point. This is a great point. However, I want to consider the average human being having the brain capacity of a 9-year-old. Like the average SEC fan who, and look, that's fine by me, man. I grew up in the heart of Arkansas, right? And everybody, it's what it is. Maybe these people are geniuses when they go to the hardware store. Like, hey, you give them a motor and they'll repair the hell out of that thing. But when it comes to college football, they only want the brain capacity of a 9-year-old. So they listen to Paul Feinbaum all day, every day. Like it make brain happy. Take round hole and a round cylinder, stick it into round hole. Like that's just their little game they play in their lap every day. It's what they get. They're fed this propaganda because they don't need to think outside of, everyone else bad, SEC good. Just means more. They chant it at the games. And so, yeah, your average wise old Georgia fan is like, nope, we just want to prove it on the field. But by and large, we learn it from UT fans. They prove it all the time. They're delusional. We're built to be delusional in college football, and when Sankey's delusional, the delusional fans, I'm not even blaming them. Like we're all that way about some team or something. We all get that way where our brain shrinks and we think, football good, and that's what happens. Is Sankey is playing to that, and it's working.
Yeah, I can use an example in what I've done, knowing this power that they have. Right, if I think if a kid was offered by a bunch of SEC schools and West Virginia flips him, I'll put on their SEC flip. I wouldn't do that for the Big Ten. I wouldn't do that for the ACC, right? Or if this kid's got a great body, it's an SEC body, right? Yeah. But people use that because they know that holds power to people that watch.
Paul, that's because we know if you put the word SEC in something,
yes, exactly. SEC, it's SEO.
Even if it's not necessarily fair. Yeah.
No, but and the hate watch from the SEC fans is something that they love to do. Again, I grew up around this. The most passionate people, and Cody, this is another good point from you, about you don't hear a lot from Georgia fans. I don't see Georgia fans on social media complaining about this stuff, crying and moaning over this stuff, really. Right. I see a lot of UT fans. I see a lot of it'll be like the rogue Mississippi State fans. I'll see an OU fan. I'll see, either fan bases who aren't used to this sort of conference of success, the new teams, or fan bases who have just always been delusional. Texas A&M, Arkansas, like those are the fans who are SEC. And they're screaming it because the only thing they have to tie into is the success of other schools in their conference rather than their own success. Like, sorry, Mississippi State. Sorry, Florida. Sorry, Auburn. You've done nothing. So you ride the wave of those three letters, just reminding people, hey, someone else in my league is relevant, therefore I'm relevant. And that sort of screaming is at some point going to fall on deaf ears and be what ruins college football.
And really, the Big Ten's not much better, although they don't preach the things that the SEC does.
They win
from the top. And they do win, correct. But, a lot of their success is because of the top of the league as well, I think. But, like you said, I don't see Northwestern using Ohio State's success. Northwestern is usually the underdog, and they usually embrace it. The SEC needs more teams like that.
Yeah. Well, to your point, Paul, that I think the Big 12, that is one thing that if we can all learn from the SEC is we should be better at rocking with our conference, right? There's so many times that in interconference games, people are like, I'm not rooting for Texas Tech today because of blah, 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 blah. Why? If they're playing flipping Michigan in basketball, why would you not root for them? And it could be the same with Houston. I don't give 13 flying flips who they're playing unless they're playing Oklahoma State and a win by them hurts us in the standings. I'm going to root for the Big 12 team 9 times out of 10. And I've caught flack for it in my comment section. People are like, oh, you're going to be no better than SEC fans, just propagating everything Big 12. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is when other Big 12 teams are playing, the Big 12 fan bases, I think, should rally around that school because that's what happened before the SEC was any good. They had every team in that conference beating that chant into your head. Anytime they would win the Meineke Bowl, every single player would be the SEC sign. Yeah. And they'd be pumped in front of the TV. And so if you were a kid growing up, even before any of these SEC teams were any good, before Nick Saban turned Alabama into the juggernaut of college football, they were just an average conference. They were normal. And so I think we should learn from that a little bit and push the Big 12 out there, even at times where it's not even necessary, because eventually it does have a marketability effect. And we've seen it with the SEC because kids in the last 20 years have come up thinking, if I'm going to be a 5-star, I got to go to the SEC. And 20 years ago, the SEC wasn't all that much.
By the way,
regionality has anything to do with that?
The Meineke Car Care Bowl. Just want to make sure we got the full name in there for legal purposes. The Meineke Car
Absolutely.
Care Bowl. Very good reference. Paul, I think regionality?
Yeah, because obviously in the Big 12, for instance, we're a long ways away from the nearest Texas Tech. As for the SEC, they're all border rivals. It's a lot easier to get in lockstep with those because we're all the same kind of peoples in a way. You know what I mean? We're all from the South. And the Big 12, it's kind of like it's more of a transient kind of situation, right? We're all from different places. We populated the Big 12 now.
I think that helps. I think that helps the SEC keep a leg up over the Big 10 when it comes to these conferences. Like they still want to scream in your face that they should decide where college football goes from here. And the only reason they still have that cohesion is because the Big 10 has Rutgers playing Oregon. And that's not going to make sense to 9-year-old sports brain. That won't make sense to the politicians. That won't make sense. Like they see that they've got the everyday, I think Ted Cruz has brought that up of like, why is this happening? Like, why would we do this? Like, everybody here agrees.
We want to know.
The SEC is the only conference that's figured it out to keep it regional enough to make go and credit to them. Good on them, man. They didn't settle. And I say settle pretty strategically there because the Big 10 probably didn't want to add a Washington, but they needed to, they didn't, they're available. So let's go get it and see what happens. Will it pan out? Time will tell, but I think the SEC, it does benefit from the regional status of it. Paul, Cody, closing thoughts here?
No, I still think that the Big 12 should find a way to embrace each other. I think you're right, Paul. The regionality, breaking up of everybody does stink. But if there's going to be another round of realignment, we're going to be square right in the middle of it. And I just hate the fact that some of our fan bases hate each other, and we're a fairly new conference. And to me, that just kind of blows my mind. Like, I will always poo-poo on Utah till the day that I die. But if Utah is playing the national championship game, I'm sorry, somebody send me some Ute gear, because if it has a Big 12 logo on it, I'm all about it.
I love that. I think for me, I'm with you guys on that. We just, obviously this Sorsby situation couldn't have come at a worse time. And the thing with Campbell and it kind of rocking the foundation of the Big 12 and the togetherness of us as a group, because we had that number 3 spot. I mean, it's not anything to be super proud of, but I mean, it's above the ACC. And I still think at the end of the day, they're the more vulnerable, because we're probably not as sought after as North Carolina, and et cetera, et cetera. So there's still going to come that day, at least we think, that they're going to fall apart, and we'll be waiting for that. Or we say, hey, how you doing? And we the best of the best in each go together somewhere, but that'll be another day for another time.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing?
Mountaineer
I still stole that from Chris Level today.
Locked on Oklahoma State. Locked on West Virginia. Drake Toll with you, Locked On Big 12. This has been and always will be Locked On. Thanks for making our shows your first listen every single day. The Dose Grande Squad. See you next week.
Paul?
On the Mountaineers.